Hello fellow gardeners and friends of the humus heritage. Today we're unlocking something truly powerful, the ability to read your soil like an open book. What if your garden could tell you exactly what it needed to thrive? The truth is, it absolutely can, and the answer is literally beneath your feet. Your soil is speaking to you every single day, revealing hidden clues about drainage, nutrients, compaction, and biological health. The best part? You don't need fancy equipment or a laboratory. In the next few minutes, you'll learn 10 simple tests that transform you into a soil detective, capable of diagnosing problems and celebrating successes with nothing but your own 2 hands and keen observation. Let's begin with perhaps the most fundamental question any gardener asks. Does my garden need water? The finger test gives you an instant answer. Push your index finger straight down into the soil until you reach your second knuckle, which is typically about 2 to 3 inches deep. This depth matters because surface soil can be misleadingly dry while moisture lingers below, or conversely, the surface might feel damp from dew while the root zone remains parched. When you pull your finger out, pay attention to what comes with it. If your finger emerges clean and the soil feels powdery or dusty, your plants are likely thirsty. However, if soil clings to your finger and feels cool and moist at that depth, your garden can probably wait another day or two before watering. This simple test prevents both underwatering and the equally damaging problem of overwatering, which suffocates roots and invites disease. Soil texture determines how well your garden retains moisture and nutrients, and you can assess it in seconds with the ribbon test. Grab a handful of soil and add just enough water to make it moldable, then work it between your fingers until it forms a cohesive ball. Now comes the revealing part. Press the ball between your thumb and forefinger, trying to form a ribbon. Clay-heavy soil will create a long, slick ribbon of 2 inches or more that holds together stubbornly. Sandy soil refuses to cooperate entirely, crumbling apart immediately without forming any ribbon at all. The ideal loam soil, which most plants adore, will form a ball that breaks apart with gentle pressure and might create a very short ribbon of about an inch before fragmenting. This test tells you whether you need to amend with organic matter to improve sandy soil's water retention or break up heavy clay to enhance drainage. Compaction is the silent garden killer that many gardeners overlook until plants mysteriously fail despite adequate water and sunlight. Test for this by simply attempting to push your finger straight down into the soil. In healthy garden soil with good structure, your finger should slide in relatively easily, encountering the gentle resistance of crumbly chocolate cake-like texture. If you meet hard resistance within the first few inches, you're dealing with compacted soil where air spaces have collapsed, preventing oxygen from reaching roots and water from penetrating effectively. Compaction often occurs in high-traffic areas beneath established trees or in gardens worked when soil was too wet. The solution involves gentle aeration, adding organic matter, and avoiding working the soil when it's waterlogged. You know, your nose and eyes are actually incredibly sophisticated soil testing instruments. Scoop up a handful of soil and observe its color carefully. Rich dark brown or nearly black soil signals abundant organic matter and the humus that gives our channel its name. On the other hand, lighter tan, gray, or pale brown soils typically contain less organic material and honestly, will benefit significantly from compost additions. Now, bring the soil close to your nose and inhale. Healthy soil smells fresh and earthy, almost sweet, like a forest floor after rain. This pleasant aroma indicates thriving microbial communities breaking down organic matter and cycling nutrients. But a sour, sulfurous, or musty smell, however, warns of poor drainage, anaerobic conditions, or waterlogged soil where beneficial organisms are struggling and potentially harmful bacteria are taking over. Earthworms are nature's soil quality inspectors, and, well, their presence tells you volumes about underground health. Take 30 seconds to gently dig through the top 6 inches of soil with your hands, breaking apart clumps and looking for these beneficial creatures. Finding multiple earthworms in a small area indicates excellent soil structure, adequate moisture, abundant organic matter, and a thriving ecosystem. Worms aerate soil through their tunneling, deposit nutrient-rich castings, and signal that conditions are favorable for plant growth. If you find no worms at all, your soil may be too compacted, too dry, too wet, too acidic, or lacking the organic matter these creatures need for food. Their absence doesn't mean disaster. but it suggests opportunities for improvement through organic amendments and better moisture management. Drainage issues cause more garden failures than almost any other factor, yet you can evaluate this critical characteristic simply by observing. After a significant rain or thorough watering, watch how your soil responds. Walk through your garden about 30 minutes later, and look for standing water or excessively soggy areas. Ideally, water should infiltrate within a few minutes to an hour, disappearing into the soil profile without pooling. If water stands for several hours or even days, you're dealing with poor drainage that will drown roots and encourage fungal diseases. Conversely, if the soil surface is bone dry within minutes, you likely have sandy soil that drains too quickly, requiring frequent watering and struggling to hold nutrients. Observing these patterns across different areas of your garden helps you understand microclimates and adjust your planting strategy accordingly. Your garden's weeds and wild plants, they actually function as living soil test results, revealing conditions beneath the surface. Take a moment to identify which volunteers appear most vigorously in your space. Dandelions and clover often colonize compacted, nutrient-poor soil, with clover specifically indicating low nitrogen, since it fixes its own. Chickweed loves rich, fertile soil with good moisture, suggesting you're definitely doing something right. Sorrel and wild strawberries prefer acidic conditions, while chicory often indicates heavy, compacted clay. Sedges and horsetail thrive in waterlogged areas, warning you of drainage problems. This test, it does require learning to recognize common weeds, but once you do, they become free consultants offering pretty sophisticated analysis about pH, fertility, compaction, and moisture patterns across your growing space. Here's a variation on texture testing that reveals workability and structure. Take a small amount of slightly moist soil and squeeze it firmly in your fist, then open your hand. Healthy soil with good structure will hold together briefly from the pressure, but then crumble apart when you poke it gently with your finger. This indicates proper aggregation, where soil particles cluster together with organic matter and microbial glues, creating the pore spaces that allow air and water movement. Soil that won't hold together at all when squeezed suggests excessive sand content or severely depleted organic matter. On the other hand, soil that forms a dense, slick ball that resists breaking apart indicates heavy clay or poor structure. The ideal is that perfect middle ground where soil is cohesive enough to support plant roots, but friable enough to allow penetration and drainage. While this test requires 2 common household items, it takes mere seconds and provides valuable pH information. Collect 2 small soil samples in separate containers and add a splash of white vinegar to the first. If it fizzes noticeably, your soil is alkaline, with a pH likely above 7. To the second sample, add just enough water to make a slurry, then sprinkle in baking soda. Fizzing here indicates acidic soil with pH below 7. If neither sample reacts, your soil is probably neutral, hovering around pH 7. This matters enormously because pH affects nutrient availability. Even if nutrients exist in your soil, plants cannot access them when pH is too far from their preferred range. Most vegetables prefer slightly acidic conditions between 6 and 7, while blueberries want much more acidic soil and asparagus tolerates alkalinity better than most crops. For your 10th test, simply sit quietly beside your garden bed for 1 minute and observe. Look for signs of biological activity beyond worms, tiny springtails jumping across the surface, pillbugs rolling under debris, ground beetles hunting, or ants transporting materials. Watch for fungal threads visible on organic mulch or around plant stems. Notice whether the soil surface is crusted and sealed or loose and crumbly. Observe how rain or irrigation water interacts with the surface, either beating up or immediately soaking in. These observations weave together all the previous tests into a holistic picture. Abundant visible life, loose soil structure, and easy water infiltration indicate a thriving underground ecosystem. Bare, crusted soil with little visible activity suggests opportunities for improvement through organic matter additions, reduced tillage, and maintaining living roots in the soil throughout the growing season. These 10 tests transform abstract soil concepts into concrete, actionable information you can gather in minutes without spending a penny. Make it a habit to perform several of these tests throughout the growing season, watching how your soil responds to amendments, weather patterns, and management decisions. Your garden truly can tell you what it needs, and now you have the skills to listen. If you found this guide valuable, please subscribe to the Humus Heritage and share this video with fellow gardeners who want to understand the living foundation beneath their plants. Happy gardening, and may your soil always be rich, alive, and generous.